Hello and welcome to another video. Now this is Triumph's Daytona 660, and in this video I'm going to tell you why I was wrong about this bike. Let's go. I know, a YouTuber admitting they were wrong. What the heck is the world coming to? Right, so yes, let's get down to it. When I first test rode this, I had to borrow one from my local dealer, and I had it for a couple of hours, but I just felt like the front was a bit disconnected to the road. But now that I've had this bike for a couple of weeks and I've ridden it quite a bit, kind of has dissipated somewhat to the point where I don't really know why I felt that way originally, because I don't feel that way about the bike now. So I guess that's perhaps just one of the downsides of only having a bike for a couple of hours, is you can't really get a really good impression of what the bike is like. You can't get under the skin of it. I think you need to have a bike at least minimum for a few days to really understand what the bike's about. And yeah, that vagueness has all but disappeared. I don't know whether or not it's just me, that my perception has changed, or yeah, I don't know. One thing that is fantastic about this bike is the engine. Just listen to this. Woo! That triple really likes to rev, and it's got quite an aggressive mid-range actually. I love it. Son of bloody Mario. Yeah, fantastic. Decent brakes as well. Triumph branded brakes, but they are really quite bitey. Very impressed. You've got steel braided hoses as standard as well. So, you know, Japanese manufacturers, you do need to keep up, because so many other bikes, more expensive bikes than this, still have rubber hoses, which is quite disappointing. Triumph are leading the way with their braided hose game. About the only thing I can say about the handling is that when you really push it on some tight, twisty roads, that's when I kind of notice the slight disconnect from the front. But for 95% of road riding, you're just not going to feel that. So I do wonder whether or not I would feel that on a track day, or whether you just kind of get used to it. And maybe that's it, I've just gotten used to how the bike feels and it no longer feels alien to me. So really, having a bike for a couple of hours just isn't long enough to form a decent opinion. I seem to need a bike for a lot longer, so I can really get under the skin of the bike, understand it, what makes it tick, and how I feel while riding it. You know, we live and learn, don't we? But yeah, I'd say my initial impression of the Daytona 660 was a little bit wrong, and I don't mind admitting that, but I think it's just I needed more time with it, because I really like this bike. I think it's a great road bike, and as I said, 95% of the riding I would do, I wouldn't have any issues. It's only that extra kind of few percent where you might get an opportunity to really push the bike at speed into a bend, and that's when I feel like there's a little bit of lacking front end feel. I don't know what it is about the bike that makes that be the case. It's whether it's tyre choice or geometry, I don't know. Oh, that induction noise is lovely. Gotta love triples. The dash, while not the most aesthetically pleasing or complex dash, I actually find it decent in terms of I can see what is happening, I can see my speed, I can see everything I need to without it being cluttered. So you've got that little TFT colour section at the bottom there, and you can cycle through various functions, and then at the top you've got the inverse LCD, and I think, as I said, you know, it's not overly fussy, but it does show you everything you need. And it's a dash they've used, I think they first used this dash on the Triumph Trident, and while the housing may be different on some of the other bikes like the Tiger Sport 660, it's, you know, it does its job quite well. So as much as I might want a brand new dash for every new model, realistically that would add research, development and manufacturing costs, then get passed on to the consumer. So, and honestly, you know, when you're riding, do you really have your eyes on the dash all that much? Mirrors are half decent actually. I do like that you can fold them in, like the old school sports bike mirrors. So Ergonomics, you know, it's a sporty motorcycle, so you're definitely leant over the front of the bike quite a bit. I've been riding the bike for a couple of hours today. I do have a little bit of weight on my wrists for sure. The tank is quite thin, so it's quite difficult to grip, but once you go up to sort of like 50, 60, you get a nice bit of wind blast to push you back, and actually that's not too bad. I won't say it's super comfortable, but it's not horrifically uncomfortable. It's certainly better than a lot of other sports bikes that I've tried. The foot pegs are not super high. We have the Tour de Hampshire, so it is quite reasonable in terms of comfort levels for the rider. You know, the screen does offer a little bit of protection on your upper body, but not too much from your face or helmet, so you know you're getting clean air blast really. There's no real turbulence, but yeah, ultimately comfort and ergonomics, I don't think I would have any issues recommending this bike, because it's, you know, if you're going to get a sports bike, be it this, the CBR 650R, or any of the other bikes in the category, you are kind of leant over, and you know you kind of just have to accept that that's a fact of these sorts of bikes. However, it's not super sport level of discomfort. So like the CBR 600RR that I rode recently, the seating position feels similar. However, the big difference is the peg height. Foot pegs on that one were so much higher, my knees felt like they were up by my ears. But on this they're actually quite low, half decent actually. I think they're probably in the same place as they were on the Trident. I don't know whether or not that would scrape on a track day. They probably would quite a bit. No surprising issues in terms of ergonomics or comfort on this bike. Star of the show, I think, is that engine. It's just so much fun. I mean, just listen to this. That sounds so good. And you know, it is the same engine that's in the Trident, but they have kind of breathed on it a little bit, given it some more torque, some more power. It's got 95 horses. I think the Triumph makes about 81. This has 69 Newton meters of torque over the, I think it's 63 of the Triumph Trident. So at the top end, the Trident really does taper off in terms of power delivery, whereas this, I feel it tapers off a lot less. So you still get a decent amount of pull up towards the top of the RPM range, which is good, but the mid-range, sort of 5 to 7, is really quite impressive. Got really nice pickup, even in roll on there. Oh, it's raining. Lovely. Which just means you can be a little bit lazy with gear changes. And you know, speaking of gear changes, you've got assistant slipper clutch, which is utterly bottily. No, it's just really smooth going down the gearbox, and changing gear is really slick. This bike unfortunately doesn't have the quick shifter, which I think is a little bit of a crime to all bikers everywhere. This bike should come with a quick shifter as standard, I think. That would certainly add to the enjoyment factor on this. Looks wise, I think the bike is beautiful. Certainly the front end. The rear is very Trident-esque, which I don't necessarily have an issue with. It would have been nice if they'd done something a little different. However, I do realise that would add to the development costs of the bike, and they do kind of want to keep those costs down. But yeah, front end is very pretty, and in this red it looks fantastic, even on a grey day like we have today. Price wise, 8,000. It's just over 8,500, which I think is really competitively priced, and I think you get a lot for your money. You get some riding modes, you get assistant slipper clutch, you get lovely looks. The build quality is really high, as you would expect from all Triumphs. So I've been on the bike for a couple of hours, and I am starting to get a little bit of pain on my inside, what's that called, inside of my thigh. But I don't know if that's just because I did squats the other day at the gym. A fantastic engine, decent brakes, suspension good enough for the real world, quite sporty, yet also easy to live with, I think. There's a lot to admire about this motorcycle, and I think Triumph are to be commended. No, it's not the Daytona that some people wanted, and it's a category that certainly is not as popular as it used to be. So it makes business sense for Triumph to bring out a bike for the masses, which is what this bike is aimed squarely at, which is why it's got a cap of 95 horsepower so that it can be restricted to the A2 license. All things considered, I think it's a really good road bike. Well done, Triumph, well done. I've really enjoyed my time with it, and I'm glad I got to try it again, because there's nothing worse than coming away from a bike feeling disappointed, and I feel like I've exercised those little demons a bit, and I feel so much better about this bike. Those brakes are surprisingly strong. Right, I think that'll just about do for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you do go out today, do ride safe, but remember to have fun, of course, otherwise what is the point? And until next time, you take care. Peace.